LFHG'S Growing On You Live Season 13 is brought to you by Vertigo Music. Find Vertigo Music at 129 South Division Avenue, Grand Rapids, Michigan 49503, or at vertigomusic.gr. Once again, find Vertigo Music at 129 South Division Avenue, Grand Rapids, Michigan 49503, or at vertigomusic.gr.
Let's see here. All right, Pete, what is going on, man?
Oh my God! Hi, how's it going? Hold on. I don't know how to do this technology shit. Hold on.
That's
Boom.
perfectly fine, man. We're all trying to figure this shit out.
Yo, is my shit blurry or is it foggy? Because it's hot as shit in this room.
It looks a little. I mean, it looks a little blurry, but either way, you know, I mean, it's not a huge deal. You know, it's not a big budget production by any means.
I hear you. What's going on?
Not much, man. Thank you so much, first and foremost, for your time today. This is absolutely amazing, man. Thank you.
Oh, stop it! Stop.
Well, you know, it's funny. I mean, as far as with starting this whole thing, I mean, it kind of started with just interviewing different friends and pages on here, and then reaching out to different people that, you know, I've been listening and supporting their shit forever, you know, musically. And I mean, yourself included, man. Your vocals have honestly been one of these staples as far as for any hardcore bands, you know, as I've come up. So this is huge, and I appreciate your time, man.
Well, hey, thanks so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. So here on Growing On You Live, basically, I have one introduction question, and then the remainder of the interview is about you and your craft, you know, your career, different bands, music, and then I have one finale that I wrote just for this, my man. So if you're all set and comfy, we're gonna get this bad boy rolling.
Can't wait. Let's try it. Let's see how this goes.
All right. So first off, let me ask you. All right, my wife and I do a little traveling. If we were coming through South Florida, or if we were coming through, you know, somewhere local to you, what's a local eatery or food staple that we'd have to try before leaving? That's a favorite of yours, not some shit that I'm gonna find on Google or whatever. Something that's your spot.
It depends when you ask me. I'm trying to think like a go-to place in South Florida. There was this Trinidadian place that I was really into, but I ate it too much, so I kind of got sick of it. It's called Joy's Roti Delight, and it's insane. They got this good vegetable roti stuff and Z doubles, and insane. I would probably just go with that. That's like the easy answer that I know off the top of my head.
Nice.
I feel like there's probably got to be something else that's like all vegan. Actually, yeah, no, there's this place called Vannucci Brothers. They got a shit ton of vegan stuff. It's like an Italian spot, but the pizza there is pretty wild. They got these garlic rolls. It's like 40 minutes away, so it's like it takes a lot to go there, but it's worth it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. I love that. You know, I mean, as far as in Michigan here too, you know, we're not in like, you know, outside of Grand Rapids and whatnot. They don't have like a ton of vegan or vegetarian, and I'm not either, but my wife is more so. And so a lot of times, you know, we try to look for different things like that too. So I appreciate those answers because, you know, I'm down for digging into some of that stuff too. You know, like I love some of that shit for sure.
Yeah. I mean, other places in Florida got way better stuff.
Yeah.
Orlando and Jacksonville are both like vegan meccas in like the country, really.
Yeah.
There's just like insane stuff, stuff that you can't get anywhere else.
Right.
The best bakery and like treat spot I have ever been to in my life is in Orlando, Valhalla. They got the craziest shit. Like, just like literally stuff like they have a death bar. It's called a death bar, and it's like, you know what a Nutter Butter, like the Nutter Butter cookie?
Yeah. Okay.
It tastes like that, but like finally realized, and it's got like chocolate and it's not like cake, and it's not like chocolate. I don't know. It's like chocolate and peanut butter, and it's fucking insane. Yeah. I don't even know how to. It's like a cookie mixed in with. But I'm getting in trouble eating these fucking things, man. But whatever.
Nice. Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, Valhalla. If you ever go to Orlando or St. Pete, hit up Valhalla. Insane shit.
Nice.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if that was like the area that was called or that was the restaurant. That's a restaurant. That's what the place is called.
Yeah, it's like a I guess it's a restaurant. It's like a bakery treat spot. Apparently, the owner has like some other ideas cooking up, and she's going to be opening up some other type thing that probably will be equally amazing. But the treats, bar none, best I ever had in my life.
Nice.
Insane. And like, I'm a fucking treat connoisseur. Look at me. So, you know, I know these things. You know.
Believe me.
Yeah. I got this shit on lock.
All right, nice. Well, I appreciate all those things. The next couple of years, once this all kind of starts lightening up and everything like that, we'll definitely get back to doing some traveling, and we plan on hitting up Florida too. So yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Solid.
So as far as music wise, I kind of wanted to start off dialing it back a little bit. In earlier days of just growing up, what bands and songs and albums kind of resonated with you and things that stuck out early on before even, knowing that you're interested in music per se.
Gotcha. My sisters are like 10 years older than me. So they would be babysitting me often. And both of them had like metalhead boyfriends. And one was really into like hair metal and the other one was into like metal. So I was exposed to like a lot of stuff as early as like 6 years old. So I was listening to like Judas Priest when I was like 6.
Oh, okay.
And like the first person that I ever was like, yo, this would be sick to do was Rob Halford. I remember like trying to like do dances and stuff when I was at my grandma's house as a fucking 6 and 7 year old. Just like thought it was the coolest fucking thing in the world. And rightfully so, because even still, dude's still doing it and his voice still sounds insane. And he's like, 70 or 80 or something. I mean, that was clearly like my first idea that, oh, this might be a kind of a cool thing. But then it was like, when I heard like Fear Factory and those types of bands where they was like screaming and then singing, that kind of, that absolutely kind of like, I was like, that sounds like something I want to do. So let me try to, so Fear Factory was like a big thing for me, as far as like vocally,
Nice.
And like Faith No More was like a big thing for me, cause I love them since I was in like middle school also, probably before. So yeah, I mean, just that early like metal type stuff, that was like very like alternative, but not like Alice in Chains alternative or like, that
right.
kind of,
Okay.
but like stuff that wasn't like Slayer, but it was just like Slayer adjacent kind of, I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And so right off the bat, early on, there was a interest as far as heavier music as well, with, because I know, and we're going to kind of dig into other genres too, but at an early stage, heavy music was introduced to you, and that was kind of something that, really caught your attention then.
Yeah, of course.
Nice. Okay.
I never like when I was like 15 or I think 15 or 16. No, I might have been 13 actually. My mom was like, Peter, you're going to forget this stuff by the time I forgot if she said 16 or 18, but by the time you're 16, you're not going to care about this metal thing and you're going to be out of it. I bet you $10. And I was like, all right. I think around the time I was like 20 something, I remember that this happened. I was like, yo, where's that $10? It's only gotten more intense. So pay up. She's like, I don't remember this. Of course she didn't remember it after.
Yeah. No, that never happened.
Yeah.
Nice. I love that. All right. So as far as like with your interest, and getting a little bit older, kind of going to some music shops, record shop, whatever it may be, CDs, scanning through, even something local. I heard you mention in an interview, Uncle Sam's Record Shop. Tell us about an album that the cover art just drew you into something that you weren't even familiar with.
Honestly, as far as like back then goes, I think I pretty much knew what I wanted early on, and the stuff that like I saw the album cover for and then discovered what it was, I was like, oh, that's not good. But yeah, I can't think of anything specific, but I remember like some album covers and it turned out to be some like really weak, like industrial stuff. I don't remember what it was, but I was like big into Ministry and it was like not sounding like that, but it was sounding like it was kind of like a little,
Try it.
But in my adult life, this happened to me. And I saw the cover of a record and it said Shooter Jennings and Hierophant.
Oh,
and I was like, okay. The record was called Black Ribbons or something. And the cover is like a keyhole. And it looks like some shit out of like some kind of like old time, like woodcut looking art. And I was like, all right, I'm not going to buy this. I'm going to go home and check this out. Because this probably came out 2000, I want to say like 2011 or 12, maybe.
Okay.
Maybe earlier. But so I went home, checked it out. And I don't know if you know who Shooter Jennings is.
Yeah.
So it was Shooter Jennings, but and the band that he normally plays with, which is typically a country band.
Right.
But this record, they're playing like weird, like Nine Inch Nails, Radiohead country.
Oh, really?
And it sounds fucking stupid. When I try to explain it, it sounds fucking dumb. But the record's phenomenal. There's one song on it that's dog shit. But I guess it's supposed to be like a funny, punny, silly song. I don't really like that kind of shit. But the rest of the record is fucking insane. So that was one time that was like kind of, I was like, oh shit, this cover's sick. But I don't want to like blind buy this thing because I have too much shit. I'm trying to get, trying to get rid of stuff I don't want.
Right.
Yeah, it's still to this day like a very special record to me. And then I went back and started listening to like Shooter Jennings proper records, which are country records. But the first one he did was amazing. Every other one's like pretty good, but a lot of hit or miss. But the first one's great, and that Black Ribbon's great, and all of his later day stuff is great. I'm
more familiar with like the country stuff. That's what I was gonna say. As far as that's where like my mind was when going. So you're mentioning some of the other shit. I'm like, oh, I don't know what that is.
Yeah, check out the record. It's fucking weird. But I guess just like learning about Shooter Jennings and reading interviews and stuff. I guess he was like into metal when he was a kid. I mean, and still to now, I'd imagine. But so he's always, if you could find pictures of him and like Waylon, and he's wearing like Metallica shirts and stuff, and like he did a weird record with his dad that was like electronic, but they were doing like Waylon songs and stuff. It was also super weird.
It worked?
I haven't revisited it since the first time I listened to it.
Okay.
So I can't say that it's like super great or anything, but he's always been like on the cusp of just being super weird. And I think he talked about how he was too like rock for country and too country for rock. So he's very, very much like in the lane with like Leonard Skinner and stuff like that.
Okay.
Which isn't a bad lane to be in.
Yeah, sure.
But it's a very narrow lane, and people don't really, outside people don't want what the other thing is so much. So, but yeah, it works. I mean, I love that first record and all of his newer stuff.
Hell yeah. So. Okay. I'll have to check that out. Yeah, for sure. Like I say, that was kind of, I had like the one understanding of it, but I'll have to check out some of that other stuff too and see what, is that a record from like the last like 5 or 10 years then?
Which one?
The Black Ribbons?
I think it's in the last 10 years. Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha. Sweet. All right, cool. So as far as, kind of like I was mentioning earlier, kind of drifting outside of, the norm with talking heavy music with, rock and roll or metal or hardcore, anything like that. In different interviews, you've mentioned an interest in blues and singers like Etta James and others, being heavy. What are some songs that you consider heavy outside of those genres? Some things that come to mind.
Pick a genre that's not like wild. Like something that's not super like out there where it's like avant-garde jazz instrumental. So pick a genre and I'll see if I can find a song or an artist that.
Let's start out country. Let's say that.
Perfect example. I was hoping you were going to say that. Bringing it back to Waylon Jennings. There's a song called Macarthur Park, which I get. It's a cover that few people have done it. But Macarthur Park is one of the saddest fucking songs I ever heard in my entire life. Yeah. And it just like, it also, the first time I heard it also happened to be while I was going through some shit. So it was like extra heavy to me. But it's just like a ruined relationship song. But it just like, it hits you in a spot that just like fucking hurts. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so MacArthur Park, Waylon Jennings. Boom, next genre.
Next. Okay. All right. Let me think. Let's say some old school hip hop. Let's go with that. What do you got? What do you got with that?
You can look
whatever comes to mind.
Also, I'm glad you said that. You can look at like some of those old Wu-Tang records. Heaven or Hell. That one hits hard. Mm-hmm. I think that's on the Cuban Links record. All That I Got Is You on the Ghostface record, the first one. If you want to go a little more recent, are you familiar with Idea and Abilities?
No.
I think they were on Rhymesayers, Atmosphere's label.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, they put out a record called By the Throat, and the last song on that record is like one of the fucking heaviest. It's like it's kind of like artsy hip hop, that song is so fucking heavy. And there's like a line in the song that says something like, "You can lead a horse to fresh water, but you can't make him okay when you decide to leave," or something.
Oh man.
But the beat is just like, it fucking hits differently. And then I don't know if he killed himself or he overdosed and died shortly after the record came out. So then it just hits completely different after that.
Oh yeah. Wow.
So yeah, next genre. This is my favorite shit.
And kind of in that topic too, it's funny. I mean, I think when I initially had heard you mention that too, the first thing that came to mind, and this is maybe not a popular opinion with some people, but Kanye West, his track Roses on Late Registration, where he's talking about his grandma passing and he's in the hospital and he's trying to just get in there and people are asking for signatures and shit. It's like, without it being something like with breakdowns or like a heavy blast beat or something, that was one of those songs that first came to mind where I was like, oh yeah, that shit, that is heavy in a different sense of that word. Like it was something that was crushing. So yeah, I like that.
If things hit different certain times also, like you can meet someone and have this bond or relationship or whatever, and then you'll hear the same song you've heard 1 million times and it means something totally different after this relationship, whether it's a platonic one or a romantic one, or you can go through this wild fucking experience and it's a totally different experience. Like the song off of Life of Agony's Ugly, there's a song on there about, what's the song called? Unstable, I think. And I've heard the song since I was a little kid a fucking million times. That's my favorite Life of Agony. Unpopular opinion, that's my favorite Life of Agony record. Okay. Just because, River Runs Red, it hits some uncanny kind of way. Right. It's heavy as shit, physically, like vocally and lyrically, hits ridiculous. But that record and that song in my adult life, after I dealt with cancer and thought I was going to fucking die, that song hits, like the first time I heard it while I was going through my shit was just, it hurt more so than I ever thought that, because it's like, oh shit, I feel this song more than I ever thought I ever could.
Yeah.
Wow. But yeah, I mean, so certain things, hit different. I mean, also back to Judas Priest. I know we're trying to move on from this, but I don't know if you're familiar with Judas Priest's catalog, but they have Here Come the Tears. Are you familiar with that song?
Yep.
So think of that song, and that was in the 70s, I think, late 70s, and he didn't come out until the early 90s. And now think of that song as a gay man and how he was hiding his identity for, their whole career up until he quit the band in the 90s. And then revisiting that song, realizing this, and you're just like, holy shit, that hit, that like hurts my soul, because now it's like this dude was going through all this massive shit with a romantic partner, and now it turns out there's more to the story, and it's such a layered thing, and how he was feeling when he was writing this or singing this or whatever it was, and now it's like, oh shit, it's a totally different story now. So that hits even harder than the song's already like, fuck, I want to cry with you. Like, this is so terrible. And then you realize like, oh shit, he was talking about another guy. And it's like, oh shit. Like that like hurts even more on top of the empathy you already felt. Now it's just like, fuck, man. Like it hits different. Anyway.
That's, I mean, and to the point, I mean, that's one of the the most beautiful things I think about music is that you can initially fall in love with it for X, Y, Z reasons, and then all of a sudden it could be years later where all of a sudden something happens and you're in a completely different position and you hear those same words or the same melody and you're like, oh God, now it's even worse.
Yeah.
So yeah, true. That's a good point too. I love that. That's for sure. And it certainly kind of sent me down a rabbit hole as far as looking into other stuff and hearing that. I mean, it's not that it never clicked, but it was just one of those things where it was like music is heavy. Whether or not audibly or sonically, it might be in the traditional sense. there's all sorts of hurt and all sorts of different shit going on, and different stories, ways that it's being portrayed too.
Yeah.
Great release. Yeah, for sure. All right. So as far as, further past this, widely known as a frontman yourself, vocalist, in bands, you've also through your career been involved in writing and guitar playing as well. Tell us about getting your first guitar or bass, what may have you, and where you got that from, when that came about.
I was in 7th grade, and my mom bought me this Epiphone. This is when Epiphones were made, not as good as they are now, but an Epiphone bass. And I remember wanting to sound like Sepultura.
Okay.
And I went to the store and I was like, "Hey, how do I get this to sound like this?" And the guy had no idea what I was talking about. I was like, "All right, the Sepultura, they sound insane. How do I get the guitar to make those noises?" And he was like, I don't know what you're talking about. And I was like, so went home and learned how to play typo negative black number 1 because it's 4 fucking notes. And one of my sister's ex-husband taught me how to play Run to the Hills, I think, by Iron Maiden.
Oh, nice.
Using all the fingers and doing the whole thing. And those are the 2 standout things that I learned when I was a kid. And then I picked up guitar, I think, when I got to high school because my friends had guitars, or my best friend at the time had a guitar, and we just used to fuck around and just write real mean songs about our other friends all the time. And, that's it.
Okay. Now, was Black Number 1, was that something that was, I'm sorry, Run to the Hills, was that something that was, kind of you had to set your mind to it and kind of push yourself to keep on going back to learn it, or did that come pretty easily with it?
No, I mean, that's the, one of my, and every time I pick up a bass, I play that thing. It's easy. Once you know how to do it, it's easy. It's not anything that's needs any kind of tricky technique or maneuvers or anything.
Okay.
It's just a thing. It's 3 pieces of I don't know. It's just I don't know. It's easy, but you got to use your hands.
Yeah.
You have to use all of these to play it, but it's easy once you know it,
Right. Okay. Yeah. And it's funny too. I mean, as far as, I don't know, when when younger, if you got into skateboarding or biking or different things like that, but I like asking that just because there's certain things where, certain people it just clicks with you. It's one of those things where somebody might sit there and stare for hours at how you're playing it, and it just doesn't, doesn't go in, or, you pick up skateboarding and you have your best friend that goes and just slips out all these fucking tricks, and you're like, I can't get this fucking thing off the ground.
Yeah. Funny enough, the drummer from Memory Never is that guy. Dude can pick up anything. I stumble on everything. I don't know how to do shit. It takes me forever to figure something out. And even then, I know a little bit about a lot of things. Mm-hmm. And I can do okay stuff. I can do a lot of okay stuff. My buddy Danny, who's played in all the Memory Never records and the first Ether record, first 2 Ether records, and the first Bishop record, dude can pick up. He started out playing bass and was insane when he was a child, and then he started playing drums on accident and was better than the drummer that we both played in a band with, where he was playing bass, and he was better than the drummer almost instantly.
Oh my God.
I don't know if you remember, and I'm dating myself here, the PlayStation MTV Music Generator.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So for anybody that doesn't know, there's this game where you can put together pieces of music and write music. Mm-hmm. And this dude would make crazy compositions on this thing, and write full ass songs that were just bonkers. And it's what? How is this even possible? This, you have a controller in your hands and that's it. I tried to fuck with it, and it was okay, this is fucking annoying to try to do, and gave up. But dudes was into art and was a really great artist, and just anything he does, he fucking gets, and he's insane at it. So I mean, as much as I don't necessarily believe people are either talented by birth or not, in certain cases, I think people just understand things better and faster than other people. Right. And he's one of those. You have to hone your craft whether it's guitar playing or art or, you know, writing or whatever it is. Like you're not just like good at it. You might understand certain aspects of the thing better than others and can execute it more eloquently. But I don't think people are like born with a talent per se. Even though his dad is a jazz drummer that is like fucking wild. He's like the Dave Lombardo of jazz drums. And he has like a fucking, I guess he like, I don't know if he invented the tube thing where there's a tube to the drum and then it like changes the pitch of the drum as you play it. I don't know. It's fucking crazy. But dude's a maniac.
Damn.
You know.
I'm gonna have to get him on too. Shit, I'd absolutely love that. You know, myself playing drums. I mean, it's been years that I've been playing and practicing to your guys' stuff too. So hearing some of those stories, that'd be fucking sick.
Yeah, he's a maniac. Definitely, you know, I would definitely talk to him if you want to. He's awesome.
Nice. Okay. Now, as far as going back, you know, so you get bass, you get guitar, you start playing, you start doing some things. Bring us back to forming your first band ever. How did that come about? As far as, you know, did you have some buddies? Did you post a flyer in a record shop? How'd that come about?
My first band doesn't really count, I don't think. I was like 13, and when I was a kid, back to my sister's boyfriend, my other sister's boyfriend, brought me to these warehouses to see this band Hell Witch practice. It's like death metal band from South Florida.
The one that's still around?
And they are still around. But they've been, you know, this is when I was a child. This is in like the early 90s. In the early 90s, like literally like 91 probably.
Okay.
So when I got a couple years older and had a bike, I went over there to that same area to see, who's playing, if there's bands playing. And there's a band called Lungs that practiced over there. If you're familiar with the band Collapsing Lungs, it's like the offshoot of that, and Malevolent Creation. Which is fucking crazy.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, and they were doing like their side project Hate Plow. So I would go watch these bands and then ride my bike home. And one time, like, there was this punk band, and I don't listen to punk, but I was like 13 years old, and they're like, "Oh, do you play bass?" And I was like, "I do actually, not good." And they're like, "Oh, you want to join our band?" And I was like, "Okay." And all these dudes were like mad old, or at least like they were like probably 20, 21, 22, and I was like 13. So I just sat in and played with them for a little bit. We never played any shows. I didn't write anything. It wasn't my kind of music. It's literally just like punk music. Exactly what you think punk music is when you don't have like a prefix or a suffix or anything like that. It was punk
straight
music.
to the point. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. My first band where like I did things and played instruments and wrote things was we like had the idea in middle school, but you know, let's start a band, you know, but we didn't start playing until like high school probably. And it was with just like my best friends. And that band turned into Remembering Never.
Okay.
Because our drummer at the time, our drummer in our high school band just like wouldn't come to practice sometimes, but he didn't want Danny playing on his drums. And Danny played bass in this band. And the original singer from RN also played in this band, our high school band as well. So we practiced. There's some buddies around the corner that practice over there. So we started just like doing like Hatebreed covers, and we just like covered the first half of Satisfaction. And
nice.
I was playing guitar, and Danny was playing drums now instead of bass. And then Justin from our high school band started singing, where he played guitar before in our high school band. And we just did Hatebreed songs, and then like we're like, we should write our own songs, and then fuck it, here we go. RN started on accident. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay.
So
okay. Now,
yeah.
you know, in still playing in high school, you know, did you have anything where you were playing at some talent shows, or did you have kind of a following from people that you knew in high school?
I mean, in high school, we had a lot of people coming to our shows, just like not metal kids per se, because like it wasn't in 1997 and 98, 99. That wasn't necessarily like a cool thing to do was listen to metal.
Right.
So we had some friends that just like came because they're like, oh, cool, we can go to this little show. Mm-hmm. And then some of those eventually started coming to RN shows just because it was the same kind of, you know, same people. And then eventually we started playing like hardcore shows when RN was a thing.
Right.
And we just became friends with people that were, our age, and started hanging out with those people outside of school and outside of shows. I don't know if we got off topic for that question, but yes and no.
No, yeah. Okay. Yeah, no, that's cool. Yeah, it's just one of those things. Every once in a while, I hear some people, where it's like they go and when you're in high school, you play like a talent show or you play something where it's like all your friends, and then after you graduate, you go and you start playing shows, and it's only like 2 or 3 people out in the crowd. You're like, what the fuck happened?
Yeah, I mean, yes and no. I mean, we didn't play talent shows. We played in like the band room once, and that was kind of a big deal. And then we played at the auditorium thing to like 30 people, just like it was like some period, a music period probably. And our first show was actually when we were in high school, our first show, and it was with Nonpoint, when they were still a local band.
Oh shit.
So that's, yeah. And that's how like RN played with Nonpoint twice. Once in like 2004, and then once like maybe 7 years ago, I think.
Okay.
So,
damn,
pretty wild.
Yeah. Yeah. So as far as what are some memories that come up with you guys' first times recording, or yourself your first times recording? Was it kind of as fun of a process, or did it become a little bit more taxing than what you thought it would be going into a studio?
I don't know. Dude, I'm like 100 years old, so like, I remember the first several times I recorded was at the studio called Studio 13, where all the hardcore bands in South Florida recorded at. Morning Again, Shai Hulud, Poison the Well, I think Bird of a Loman, maybe. So like all of my favorite records were recorded here, and I was so excited to record here. So we recorded our high school band there, and then we broke up because we were like, okay, this sucks. I want to play this other music. And then RN recorded our first thing, our first like EP thing, our first full length, our second full length, and Until the End recorded our first 2 records there, our first EP and first full length. And I think the third full length or second full length, I don't know.
Oh.
But I remember the first time Until the End recorded, and I was so excited. I was like, oh, I'm in a band with the dude from Morning Again and 2 dudes from Poison the Well and the dude from Keepsake. And it was just like these are bands that those are the first bands I listened to hardcore. Mm-hmm. And like walking to high school, listening to all these bands on my Discman, and it was I was like, oh shit, now I'm in a band with these guys. So crazy. And I remember I had a job delivering subs at the time, and I was like 20 years old, and I had the EP the day after the morning we got out of the studio, I should say, because I think we got out at like 4 a.m, and then I started work at like 9 or 10 a.m, and I listened to that thing 50 fucking times because I was so pumped on it. I was like, oh my god, this is so crazy. But other like studio experiences, I mean, I don't know, it was so long ago. I was just amped to be there, and it's just like a scary experience. But it was, generally speaking, like really fucking exciting, also scary, and I don't know. I know that Jeremy just smoked a lot of weed, so no matter what, there was just weed. It was weed 30 all the time, all the time. And most of the bands I was in were straight edge bands or had mostly straight edge members too. So we just had to sit there and like, all right, man, cool. Like,
as long as the shit sounds good.
Yeah. I mean, couldn't complain.
Yeah. Nice. All right. I love that. So now, as far as overall the years with Remembering Never, playing, having different records, I wanted to kind of move a little bit into Bishop and talk a little bit about that. I wanted to mention the finale track on Drugs, Meet Me on Montauk. First off, what can you tell us about that song? Maybe even a little bit of a backstory. This is kind of a personable moment, as far as for me. This has always been one of my favorite songs in the band.
Okay. That was... You've seen the movie Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind?
Yep.
Okay, so that title is a reference from that movie. If you couldn't gather before. Yeah. And a couple other words that are mentioned in that song also reference the movie. But it was just basically about my ex-girlfriend who I like fucked up the relationship with, and it was totally my fault because I wasn't ready to settle down. I wasn't ready to have a full-fledged relationship with someone because I was always on tour. You know, it was just kind of like that regret having fucked up this relationship and like kind of like hurting someone that was like just a really fucking good, great person. And that's it, you know. And then the tie-ins with Eternal Sunshine, like, would we be better off never have known each other? And that's kind of where I went with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, now that you mentioned that, that completely makes sense, but I never put the two and two together. Like now when I go back and listen to it, it's obvious, but yeah, okay. Yeah. Initially, I mean, New York, you know, just kind of jumped off in my head as far as Montauk, but a lot of times, you know, there'll be a gauging where I can love the whole thing, but if the finale track is something that ends up kind of being a little bit of a bummer, it kind of takes down, you know, like the overall score of it. And that's one thing I've always loved with that record, especially, and, you know, a lot of, you know, your guys' records is the finale tracks kind of fully wrap everything. And that song in particular.
Yep. First track, last track are the most important songs on the record.
Yes.
No matter what anybody says.
Yes.
First and last. You have to make sure you keep everything interesting, and the flow is really important, but first track and last track got to be heat. Otherwise, people are not going to be interested enough to listen to the record if the first song is kind of whatever. And if the last song is whatever, people aren't going to be like, I want to listen to that again right now. Like, they're going to be like, okay, cool. I'm glad this is over. Let's fucking move on to the next record.
Right. All right. Maybe I'll try and restart it so I can have my interest back. Thank you.
Check it out.
So now the fade out of it, you guys had the cover of You Vandal afterwards. So I wanted to ask you, as far as, you know, maybe even in earlier days listening to CDs and your first or earlier memory of hearing a secret or hidden track on an album. What comes to mind with that?
Easy. Nirvana, The End of Nevermind. Some of the CDs have Endless Nameless on it, and some of them don't.
Yeah.
It's a fucking mystery as to which ones are which. But that was a big one because it's the most ridiculously ignorant song. It's just heavy. It's like 6 minutes of just like... It's like, all right, y'all want to get wild, let's get it. But like the end of like Fight War of Words had like a weird secret track called Jesus Saves. I think it's called that. And in like the 90s, that was like a huge fucking thing. People just put secret tracks. The end of Deftones Around the Fur has that Damone song, which is one of the best Deftones songs. So I'm not sure why it didn't even make the cut to that record. It's better than that's probably my second or third favorite Deftones record, but that song smokes most of the songs on that record. So it's real weird that they just didn't put it on there instead of something else. But funny enough, there's a Willie Nelson tribute CD, I think, called Twisted Willie, and the hidden tracks are before the record. So you'd have to put the CD in and hit rewind to hear extra songs.
How does that even work?
I don't know, but
what the fuck?
It's a thing. Like Jerry Cantrell from Alice in Chains had a song on there, and I don't know, a couple other things. But yeah, it was so weird. I think there was like 1 or 2 tracks before the record even started. So yeah,
whoa,
fun fact.
I mean, I guess something close to that. What was it? Follow the Leader from Korn? That the first like 12 tracks were just all empty, and you had to like track 13 for the album to actually start. Like, I guess that's the only other thing that comes to mind with something like that, but I've never heard of secret songs or hidden tracks, you know, before the album even starts. I'm going to have to check that out.
Weird. I think it's on Wikipedia. Check it out. But I remember like seeing, there was a sticker on the cover of the CD that was like, oh, rewind such and such when you start it to find this song. And it's like, that's too much work. Just, I want to put it in and fucking, and one of the craziest extra tracks, hidden tracks, was Sepultura Chaos AD. I had the CD on at my grandma's house, and I think the CD ended, and I walked away. And about 20 minutes later, I just heard hysterical laughter coming from the other room, and I was like, what the fuck is that? And that's the bonus track, or the bonus stuff on the end of Chaos AD. Right. And I was like, why would they do that? It's fucking weird. But I remember being a little ass kid and being so weirded out that like, why is this here? Anyway, yeah.
Nice. Yeah. That's, I mean, that's something fun too, even if it's not necessarily content or bonus music, just something having,
Yeah.
having something goofy after and kind of, something just a little bit extra for if you're hanging around or fucking passed out and 20 minutes later wake up and you have somebody yelling at you, whatever.
Yeah.
So now, as far as with, lyrically within, Bishop or Remembering Never, a lot of times, there was, cursing and kind of fun, free, mention as far as, your approach. But then Ether Coven, I kind of wanted to dig into, there's a different approach as far as, and maybe I'm wrong, but I haven't noticed any swearing, any cursing whatsoever on these albums. Is that correct or no?
Yeah. That's weird. No one's ever thought about that, but also I don't think we're a big enough band to where people would care enough or put the two and two together that there was no cursing on the records. It's just more artsy and most of that stuff is less blatant than anything else I've ever done. So it's purposeful to not curse at all. And I think I can articulate what I'm trying to say without cursing as well. And it's intense in other ways where I don't have to try to, dress it up with, saying fuck or shit or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So it exists as its own thing that is much more artsy and has more heart than anything else I've ever done, if that makes sense.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. So was it initially was it something right off the bat that you had in the back of your mind where it was like, I'm going to kind of try to articulate myself differently, or did you start writing the first couple of tracks and then it kind of flowed into this is what I'll do with this?
I knew I wanted to be more abstract than, anything I'd previously done. So there was a big difference there. And I think it was a coincidence that I didn't curse on the first record. And then by the time the second record rolled around, I was just like, yeah, I'm just going to do this artsy thing, also be heavy and have more of a punch lyrically instead of just having a quick jab. That's a cheap, a cheap thrill. Oh, fuck, this guy said fuck. Ah.
Yeah. I can say as far as that is one thing that draws, as far as if you hear somebody saying deliberately fuck you motherfucker, or just something, straight on. It's like, okay, yep, I see that, and I think something with Ether Coven that has drawn me more so, maybe even with other projects, is looking further into the lyrics as far as looking back and okay, what is he saying? What exactly is going on here? As far as if something that might not translate the first couple of times hearing or whatnot. So, it is a cool thing, and it's given a different angle to, different projects that I've heard from your stuff as a fan, as somebody that appreciates your stuff. Still heavy. There's definitely moments that are mellow and, kind of drawn back almost in a sense, but there's still definitely the heaviness and the story behind it, really has drawn me personally into listening all the deeper.
Mm-hmm. Sweet. Awesome. Hey, thanks.
With now, I guess next, as far as kind of going along with that, with both song and video, I wanted to dig into as the noose of the ever-changing world tightens around your neck, right? That's whole.
Yeah.
Okay. It's
pretty close. I think that's it.
Okay.
It's so long.
I want to make sure I didn't fuck that up. I loved it because that song title brought us back to the earlier days of, I guess hardcore, if you want to say metalcore, different things with the 14, 4-sentence long title names. I love that shit. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't fucking it up.
Yeah.
So first of all, as far as, just song inspiration behind that, tell us a little bit behind that track.
So the song is kind of not a warning per se, but it's just literally, it's pretty close to as literally as it could get, is how the world is changing and the Western world is very stuck in exactly how the power structure wants to run. And it's no matter how much we try to, stomp out change and progression of oppressed peoples, strides are still being made for people that have been typically oppressed throughout America's entire existence. And we're really reaching the apex where we're going to start having to take situations in our own hands to get the freedom that we all need, that we haven't had. And you know, yeah, I haven't thought about it in a while because, you know, COVID, we haven't had to play shows or songs, and we haven't practiced any of that stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's you know, essentially, and people always get real upset when I say this. The white man has been destroying the world, but in the context of this country, for the entire time we've been called the United States of America and longer. And no matter what happens, change is going to keep happening for the better. I mean, yes, there's going to be pushback from oppressive forces because, you know, they want to maintain that power structure exactly the way it is. But no matter what, we're still going in the right direction. They're still having things more normalized. You're seeing more gay couples on TV. You're seeing a lot more black families on TV. As much as cops are still shooting black people in the street, as far as those rates go, it's been happening forever. Only now people have cameras, so now we can see it.
Right.
And with the election of Donald Trump, that kind of put America on the forefront as to show exactly how terrible we could be. He is American culture personified, where it's like, you know, mine, everything's mine. Manifest destiny, the idea, but really it's like, listen, I'm a piece of shit. I'm gonna eat too much. I'm gonna talk as much shit as I want. Know nothing about any of the things that I'm talking about. Get people fired up to get a reaction about things. And then I just want to be consequence free. I didn't have anything to do with that. Yeah. And it's like, this is how things have been run forever. A little more subtle than him. But exactly all of the things that he said or did or whatever, his whole personality and the things that he talked about and screamed about and got his followers super fucking amped about are all things that America has been, you know, whether it was behind closed doors or it was like, you know, you got to look around before you say the thing. American families have been saying all the same nasty shit he's been saying since forever. Now you're finding out your like racist parents or your parent, your family, your uncle that's like kind of sketchy and that has a problem with immigrants or this and that. Now they're being more vocal because now they have this fucking dickhead that's like, these people are your problems, because if you take the attention off of the people that are oppressing the working class, you got to blame somebody. And why wouldn't you want to blame someone that is, you know, more susceptible to discrimination? Because, they're easy to hate because they're different from us. Mm-hmm. So all that ties into how the Western world works and how it's always worked. And that song is a critique of how the Western world is operated and maintains, while also saying, okay, well, no matter how bad you push back on this, we're still, things are going to get to a point where you're no longer the majority and you're no longer the power, and we are. And, you know, if it takes blood, that's what it is. Which is funny because, and I don't want to move on to the next question, but because we got on this, the Capitol riot that happened in January is a funny situation because people are so fucking stupid and are so led in a direction that they are breaking into the Capitol and protesting the government, which, great. I'm for that, no matter what. That's a great thing, because we reserve the right to do things like this. However, they were breaking in the Capitol and protesting because they couldn't accept the election results. Not because people were getting starvation wages and they wanted, you know, living wages. Not because people are as fucking dumb as they get and we don't have an education, because now it's, you know, capitalism makes everything, you know, all these basic needs, you know, commodified. They're not upset about healthcare. and how people are just dying from preventable things because they don't have insurance or health care. They're doing these things because they stormed the Capitol because they couldn't accept the election results. It's like, good action, terrible cause. Like, that's what got you so fired up to finally take a stand. Like, the fact that you've been getting shit on your whole life and struggling to struggle, that didn't get you fired up before. Now it's because, oh, you're the fucking little orange man that said all the things that you couldn't say before he was in office. He didn't get to be the president again. Oh, it's like, honey, you don't think about things at all. Like, the working class is the dominant class, essentially. And this is what they did instead, and this is what they were upset about instead of things that actually fucking matter. It's like, I get it. You don't like black and brown people. Shit. That's great. But think about things, and maybe you have more in common with those people that you think are so fucking different than these people that are telling you that those people are the problem. Like,
man.
So, yeah. Sorry.
Deep,
Next
man.
question.
No. I love that. Honestly, if you ever decide, as far as, to take on something like doing like a stand-up comedy act or anything like that, feel free to tell me to delete that and use that in your show, because that was a perfect setup for just, sadly, the ultimate joke of this year.
Yeah. I mean, we, the American people, are the fucking joke. And as shitty as that sounds, and as people are so fucking pumped on being American, it's like, at this point, if you can't criticize your country based on the things that they do and the things that they let slide, you're not a real patriot. You're just someone that is going along with the status quo that's been part of the problem and has oppressed people and, enabled political leaders that were fighting for equality. You're shitting on all those people and don't really agree with the things that you talk about you agree with. I don't know. It's just learning. The more I learn about history and then seeing current events, it's like we've learned nothing,
dude,
at all. Like, this is embarrassing that we're this far along and we are not very far along.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
you look at things like technology, and it's like, boy, we've gotten everything that we fucking need there, but yet, basic rights.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, we need to work 70 hours. Yeah, we want to work 70 hours just to struggle still. This is a good idea,
all right. Well, okay. So even now, to try and, not to make this even deeper, but digging into the music video for this track here, tell us about meeting Karen. Is it Jerzik? Just so I'm not saying that. Okay.
Karen Jerzik, yeah.
Meeting her and how she came about the project, and just tell us a little bit about the video and the inspiration for visuals.
Okay. Well, we met Karen on accident. She was a friend of a friend when Remembering Never was playing like Metal Fest some year, maybe 7 years ago. She's a friend of a friend, and she was trying to take like band pictures or something, and our friend Meg Loyal was shooting us, and so she took some shots. Oh, do you mind if my friend Karen? We're like, yeah, it's fun. And then we became friends with her that way. That's how we initially met, and then we stayed in contact because she was shooting all kinds of real crazy shit. Like, I'm sure you've seen her work.
Yeah.
And throughout the years, it's evolved so much while maintaining that very. Okay, can you stop? Jesus. My girlfriend just walked in the door, and she's looking all trying to distract me here. I'm not going to tell you what she's doing, but either way. So you've seen Karen's work. She's always maintained that like pretty sketchy, like dark art that just like invokes that thing in you that's like, oh, it makes you feel dirty, but in a good way, if that makes sense.
Right.
So we've all been in contact with her, throughout the years, and she came and she shot my wedding and made creepy pictures there. And then we did some things. We worked with her again, maybe the time that the first time Ether was in her area or something, and just so we've known her and worked with her for quite some time.
Okay.
We just in October, yeah, we went up north and did a couple of videos with her. So you'll be seeing a couple more videos with her very soon, hopefully.
Sweet.
Yeah, but I mean, it's one of those weird things where it's kind of difficult to marry music to imagery if you're not the person creating both of the things. And with her, you know, even on a personal level and a professional level or artistic level, we're so connected. We're very much had very, very similar intentions to like the executions of our project, and we want to invoke similar things out of the people that are consuming that art form.
Okay.
So it's kind of a no-brainer. Like, you know, as much as I would love to branch out and do all these things with all these other artists and, you know, whatever, that's kind of like home for us. Working with her, just because we feed off of each other, and you know, I can say, hey, this is what it is. What are you thinking for this? You know, so basically that entire video, we just said, hey, do something. Like, what do you want to do? Here's the lyrics. Here's the, you know, and we shot what we shot when we were there, and then everything else was done after or before or something. And she sent it to us, and we were just like, holy fucking shit. And we were so impressed. And she, you know, artistically, she's basically an extension of us. She's, you know, a huge part of, you know, the imagery, and, you know, our promo pictures and stuff were done by her. You know, she's a really important part to us. She's a good friend. So, I mean, I don't want to do anything else without her. Is that weird to say? I mean,
you know, I think every once in a while when you fall into or you see different bands that work, you know, even with someone like that's a producer continually, you almost feel like there's certain, not all the time by any means, but there's certain times where it kind of develops like a comfort where all of a sudden you kind of notice like the quality and hearing that story too, you know, as far as that, and you guys have worked, you know, for years. Man, I didn't think that song could get any deeper. And then watching the video when that came out, I was just like, what the fuck? Like, this is insane.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's a beautiful thing, you know, as far as you guys having that lasting relationship like that. And, you know, shit's still fresh.
Yeah.
Still moves. Wow. Okay. That's awesome. So you didn't have anything necessarily as far as inspiration. It was just more or less, these are the lyrics. This is the song. You know, what do you have that comes to mind? And she brought it.
We picked our own characters. So she has a studio and has a bunch of clothes. So we picked out all of our own clothes and all of our own accessories, I believe.
Okay.
And that's it. And then she was like, all right, do this. How do you feel about this? What do you think? Cool. Run it. Let's go. And then she did everything else on her own. And that looks like it looks.
Man.
You know, so it was a little bit of a collaborative. She did most of it. But we were able to pick our own costumes and accessories and do our own little thing.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Man, that's beautiful. Now, digging into with, you know, music videos and different things, kind of tying along with that, it brought, you know, a time where music videos was kind of like a staple. It was kind of like a thing as far as for having your band be seen. And if it was on MTV, you know, kind of showing a different light to your band or to a song. What are some music videos early on that come to mind as far as the, you know, that may have resonated with you or just even today are still some favorites that you remember?
I mean, being a fucking fossil, I was around when like Headbangers Ball had Ricky Rackman. And
yeah.
So like I remember seeing God of Emptiness by Morbid Angel, the video for that, and I was like, what the fuck? And even Rapture, like I was like, you can't have this 7 videos. Like, this is so violent looking without being violent looking. And like old Biohazard videos and Life of Agony videos where it just looked like a gang of people. And jumping off to a different genre like Onyx videos were like, holy shit, like these dudes are like rugged and pissed. And like then they did like the Bionics video with like Biohazard and Onyx, and they had one video and I was like, oh my god, my fucking head exploded. So
nice.
videos were sick in that regard. But I was also a big fan of like Stone Temple Pilots and like those types of videos.
Okay.
Because they always had super interesting, very colorful videos that were entertaining the entire time. I can't think of any other like, but Headbangers Ball, I really, cut my teeth on experiencing shit that, you aren't going to see in the daytime. You have to wait up until fucking midnight or whatever. And then I'd fall asleep before the end of it. So,
Right.
But yeah, like all those like 90s metal videos, anything that was on Roadrunner was all my favorite shit. Like Fight, Rob Halford's like band after he quit Judas Priest.
Mm-hmm.
Those videos were fucking crazy. Suicidal videos, like, there wasn't necessarily much of a story going on in a lot of these videos.
Yeah.
But I don't think there needed to be because the videos were so intense and the music was so intense, especially, being a child and like, oh my God, this is so, so those kinds of things, eventually, you get into artsy stuff, but I think in my old age, I appreciate it more than I did when I was a little kid because I was just like really into like the intensity of the thing. And, that was my focus.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, even the visual aesthetic of things, there was times I remember falling into not even being super into the song or the band necessarily, but, waiting for knowing that like a certain time they were going to have, different videos play and just, seeing like certain videos and things being like creepy or some shit. I remember early on, even Primus, I wasn't super into them at first, but they started playing some of their music videos and having some of that shit playing. I'm like, oh, all right.
My name is Mud.
Yeah.
Ridiculous video.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally. Awesome. Well, dude, look, this is wrapping up our interview here. I still have one finale, but this is your opportunity as far as if you want to let everybody know. You said, maybe there might be some things going on in the future as far as some videos. If you guys have anything going on or any plans for when things are opening up here, this is your opportunity, man.
Oh, well, let's see. I got some RN stuff I can't talk about, but we're recording at some point, hopefully at the end of the year. So some other things are going to be happening. Some Ether stuff I can't talk about, but we're going to be recording at the end of summer. And playing a couple shows here and there. I got some new stuff coming that I can't talk about because it's not, super far along. So yeah, I have some stuff I can't talk about, and then we have some shows coming up. That's it.
By no means that I'm not trying as far as like prying or anything like that. That is so sick. No, I love that. That's fucking awesome, man. Sweet. That's really cool to hear some new things coming. So yeah, that rocks. I mean, and like I mentioned, first and foremost, on top of all this other shit, I really appreciated your time as far as being able to do this and having the opportunity. So if shows start picking up and traveling and all that shit, I hope to be able to catch you at one of these shows. That'd be sick, man.
Sweet. What city are you in?
I'm in Michigan, just outside of Grand Rapids.
Okay. Yeah, we played.
Spot.
We played like
Grand Rapids like last
a
year
basement.
Or some shit.
2 years ago, I think, in the dead of fucking winter. But we play Detroit, I think, every time. So we should be at the shelter. Shit.
Is it? Oh my God. That was like the last show I fucking played, and I'm trying to think of what the hell the place is called now. Oh my God.
Yeah, my buddy Max runs it.
Yeah.
Yeah, in Detroit.
Oh my God.
It's not Shelter, is it? No. That's the 8 Mile movie.
This is fucking embarrassing. I'll edit this part out.
Sanctuary. Boom.
Yes, there you go. The Sanctuary.
Okay.
Boom.
The Lights. How did I forget that? Detroit's one of our favorite places to play.
Unreal.
We got some buds.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll probably end up being there at some point. Yeah. So hopefully we'll see you there.
Nice. Yeah. Let's see. So you guys played. It was a couple of years ago in Grand Rapids. It was like a little like art kind of like dance studio type deal.
Yeah, we played in the basement, and it was like -5 degrees. It's solid.
It was actually the singer of my band booked that show, and I was supposed to be at that show, and ended up with some bullshit with fucking work, and so I didn't end up getting to be there. But yeah, so and then all this shit happened. I'm like, oh, we'll see.
Crazy.
Fuck.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
as far as the finale here, I wanted to ask you, kind of touching on, you know, different things like in the '90s music videos and different shit like that. You remember the movie Judgment Night? You ever hear that?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so the soundtrack was absolutely banging, had some really
Of
cool,
course.
you know, like mix-ups and different things. So with one of your bands, it doesn't matter if it was Remembering Never, or let's even say just Ether Coven, that's most recent. What would be an artist outside of metal or hardcore that you would want featured and do a collaboration on an Ether Coven song?
Shit, if we're going Judgment Night, it would have to be like hip hop. I would say either Ghostface or Conway the Machine.
Oh,
One of those
man.
two. If we're talking other genres, I would say Bjork.
Oh, dude. That would be so...
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that'd be insane.
I've got nothing to add. That'd be so fucking sick.
Yeah.
Wow. All right, awesome, man. Well, I hope something like that comes into fruition because shit, you know, after
Me
this last
too.
year,
Yeah.
there's some cool
Yeah,
things
definitely.
coming. Cool. All right, man. Thank you so much. This has been our time, and I appreciate it. And stay healthy, dude.
We're trying. You too. Thank you.
Yep. Take care.
Take care.
He's a lo-fi horror guy. Yeah, he's kind of a guy, but he is so lo-fi a horror guy. Yeah. Lo-fi horror guy has been recorded in front of a live studio audience.